This beautiful Memorial Day weekend Saturday, and I know you all probably got lots of great things to do, so I'll be real quick. I would say, first of all, remember that rule. You never use your own money in campaigning. I know I never have. It's a little joke. Okay. You ever been anywhere that you didn't quite know everybody in the room? You weren't really sure if you were supposed to be there. Maybe you went to a foreign country or some exotic place and you just kind of felt uncomfortable, like you stuck out. Anybody ever had that experience? A few? Okay, Bobby has, Bobby Wilson. By the way, Bobby, I don't know if I've ever seen you up here before without a handgun on your hip. Oh, it's in your pocket. Okay. All right, just making sure. When I was a senior in college, I spent a semester studying in Eastern Europe. I studied in Russia, and most of the time I spent in Ukraine. And about 5 or 6 weeks into that program, I was really homesick. Really, all I wanted was a Big Mac. And so I was just not having a lot of fun. And the family I was staying with, Russian family, said, "Hey, we're going to go to an air show." Turns out there's this big Soviet Air Force base in the town I was staying in. It was post-Soviet Union, so it was a Ukrainian Air Force base. We went, and it was just like any air show you go to here. It's thousands of people packed on an Air Force base with all these aircraft out and about. And so I'm meandering through this crowd with all these Russian and Ukrainian speakers around, and suddenly I hear what sounded like, heavenly angelic music. I hear somebody speaking English, but not just English. This guy was speaking Southern American English. And that caught my attention. I turned around and I see this guy. He's wearing a flight jacket, and I made a beeline to him and I introduced myself. "Hey, where are you from?" Turns out the guy was there with an Air Force crew, U.S. Air Force crew, who were there on a goodwill tour. Well, he was from Alabama. And I don't care much for Alabama, but that day, he might as well have been my twin brother. We couldn't have been any closer. He helped me out. He said, "Hey, come on, let's put you up here on the VIP stand. You're going to be one of us today." It was great. The reason I tell you that is because it's always good when you're in a foreign country to be able to find somebody who speaks your language. It's always good to have a friend when you're in some strange place who knows who you are and who knows how to talk your language. Well, we got some good folks running for U.S. Senate. We have a lot of qualified people, but Dr. Phil Gingrey is a guy who knows us. He's one of us. He speaks our language. If you haven't heard him speak, he speaks our language. And he knows who we are. He's represented us for a long time. And among all of the great qualities that set him apart as a true conservative and a true patriot, I think the fact that when we go to a strange place like Washington, D.C., and we can count on somebody there to know our language, to know who we are and where we live and where we're from and care about what is important to us, that's invaluable. That gets things done for you and me, and that's why I'm asking you to support Dr. Gingrey in his run for U.S. Senate. And that's why I'm happy to introduce our next U.S. Senator, Dr. Phil Gingrey.
Christian, thank you so much, and it's great to be here in Bartow County this morning. One thing Christian said at the outset of his remarks about not using your own money in a campaign, I agree with him completely because I don't have any, but a couple of my opponents do. And I'm going to make that case as we get deeper into the campaign. It's all about the folks like us, that vote. And a lot of folks that have run for national office or any office, I think sometimes will try to self-fund and maybe buy an election and check off a bucket list. And I don't believe that that's what the American people want. I think they want someone at any level who has lived on their level and shared the same experiences, family, struggles, pain, joy, suffering, life. And it's a bond that is kind of inseparable. I want to recognize, of course, and I guess that will be done by Lewis in a minute anyway, but I see John Barge out there, the state school superintendent. John, it's good to see you. I keep forgetting that you're from this neck of the woods, so you're kind of home. Single Commissioner Steve Taylor talking about that. The renewed energy. Steve and I certainly have taken that to the next level, I think, and can continue to do that and work hard. But obviously, Trey and Christian When people ask me about you members of Congress, the three that are in the Senate race, what a brain drain, and we regret that we're going to lose, and only one of, if one of you three are the victor, will stay in the Congress, we're going to lose all. But, and I say to them, look, we have got a bench that you would not believe. And I'm talking about people like Trey and Christian, but I'm also talking about the four, one of whom is here this morning, and others who are representing the four people that are going to represent the 11th Congressional District. And believe me, they are very good, strong candidates. So obviously I've enjoyed my, now in my 11th year, my 6th term, the whole time having represented Bartow County, thankfully. And I hope and pray that the good Lord will give me the opportunity, and you will give me the opportunity to continue to represent not just Bartow County, but 158 other counties across the state of Georgia. But so much for the political landscape. Obviously, that's becoming a big part of what I do in my spare time. But I've got a job. I will keep that job. I thoroughly love being in the Congress and the House of Representatives. It can be awfully frustrating sometimes, but we continue to work at stopping bad things from happening. And when you only control 1/2 of 1/3 of the federal government, in most cases that's about all you can do. And that's why you'll see us continue to take votes on complete repeal of Obamacare. The Democrats like to accuse us of having done that 37 times. You know that's not true. We've done that 3 times. And we did it this time so that those freshman Republicans that campaigned in 2012 and got elected, the 70 of them, the brand new members, and a large part of their campaign being on repeal of Obamacare, they wanted to take that vote. It's not that they didn't want to take those 34 other votes to strike down certain sections, the most egregious part of the law. But there is some concern within the Republican conference in Washington. A number of members feel like if you strike down successfully the most egregious part, then you make it acceptable, or you make it more acceptable, or in the out years more difficult when we finally have more control to completely repeal. So there's a little battle there, a little back and forth on how the best approach for that. I want to just close, and I hate to run, but thank you, Louis, for the opportunity to let me speak. I'm going to the National Cemetery up in Canton, and that service starts at 10 o'clock, so obviously I'm going to be late. I was looking for my pen this morning, and this goes back to 2006 in regard to the remembrance, not really, I guess, maybe a celebration of sorts, but I think of that more as the 4th of July. But a remembrance, because what these young men and women ask of us, and really the only thing they ask, and it's in the poem going back to World War I days in Flanders Fields, it's a plea, really, them begging us not to forget them, not to forget that they paid the ultimate sacrifice. They wanted to come home. They had girlfriends, they had wives, they had moms and dads and brothers and sisters, and they wanted to enjoy what we're enjoying today in many days, until maybe, we some of us have served. I say some of us. I have not served in the military directly. I don't count 2 years of ROTC at Georgia Tech as serving directly, but some of you have served. And you came home, fortunately, not maimed, not missing limbs, but anybody certainly that's been in combat doesn't come home completely unaffected by what they see and what they feel and what they hear and the loss of buddies and folks next to them. And so that remembrance of this day is so important, just to say, well, we're at least a part of this weekend. We're going to be praying for you and your families and remembering that we wouldn't have what we have. We wouldn't have this liberty. We wouldn't have these opportunities to send our kids to school and to live in the greatest nation that this world has ever known. But our duty to these, or those who have fallen, who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, is to make sure that we preserve this country and we preserve that liberty that they died for, And those that we celebrate in November, the ones that didn't pay the ultimate sacrifice, believe me, many of them are suffering. You just think about the situations going on right now at the Atlanta VA Medical Center and the 4 deaths, suicides of these veterans that are getting treatment, and maybe, there's a lot to say about the lack of attention to them, and I have had a lot to say about that. You may notice that in the newspaper. I'm meeting with a new director this week to find out who's going to get fired over this, just like who's going to get fired in the IRS, who's going to get fired over Benghazi, who's going to get fired over snooping into the emails and the cell phone records of AP reporters perpetrated by this rogue administration that we're dealing with in Washington today. So listen, I'll close with that. I wish I had time to take some questions, but John's got the car fired up and I'm heading to Canton, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you all very much. Lewis, I really appreciate it.